What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner and 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And I host the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that's sponsored by Dove Men Care. It's also co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. And because of that collaboration, I've been blessed to reach out directly or indirectly to over 75,000 fathers in the world this year. So I'm really humbled by that opportunity. And one more thing I have under my hat, I am the board chair for an organization called the Global Food and Drink Initiative, which is a multimedia not-for-profit that showcases Blacks in the diaspora that are doing their thing in food, drink, and culture. And as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And you know, if you're a Dr. Vibe fan posse, I love bringing new friends on the show. And I have two spectacular new friends on the show tonight. They're going to be talking about Black Professionals Month. And I didn't know one of these existed till I got an email. And I said, okay, I got to have both of them on. Now, I would love to give you their bios, but we only have so much time because they've done so many wonderful things. So I'm going to bring them to the stage. Denise and Jerome, come on up. How we doing?
Hey there. Hey, Dr. Vibe.
Hey, how you doing? What's going on?
We're vibing with you.
Absolutely. I love to vibe with people. And Jerome, what's going on?
Hey, like Denise said, here for the vibe, not the ride, but the vibe.
I feel like we're at a radio station. I'm all over that. That's all good. That's all good. Well, you know what? I want to say thank you, both of you, for taking time out of your positive, productive schedule to share with the audience this evening. And I'm looking forward to get educated, entertained, energized, and enlightened by both of you. Awesome. And I have the right two people to do it tonight. So I'm looking forward to it. As always, when we have new friends on the Dr. Vibe Show, I'd like to get a little bit of the background. So we always like to do women first. So Ms. Denise, could you share a little bit about your background with our wonderful audience?
I can, but first, thank you so much for having Hutch and me on. This is really great, and I'm looking forward to the next 45 minutes to an hour with you and the audience. So just a little bit about my background. So in addition to being, along with Hutch, co-founder of Black Professionals Month, I'm also the founder of my own small business, MDK Brand Management. I'm a career coach, a brand strategist, and a certified digital marketer. I'm a book author. I have a book, $40 and a Brand, which we'll talk about a little bit later. I started my career in in television. I was a television news reporter when I first started my career. Then I went to nonprofit, but I spent about 25 years in corporate, working for Adidas and Reebok and Nintendo and a couple other companies. And I started at the very bottom and worked my way up to the top, through the ceiling, if you will, the glass ceiling, to the C-suite. And that's one of the reasons when Hutch and I talked and he asked me about joining him for Black Professionals Month, and we got together, and I thought, you know what, after doing a lot of research and seeing some of the statistics, I thought, you know what, this is something I really have a passion for doing. I want to get involved. I want to help Black professionals close that gap, increase our presence in leadership roles across the world. So it was a perfect, evolution from my corporate life into my business ownership life into this, and taking all of my skills, all of my experience, all of my passion, and putting them towards helping Black professionals grow, develop, advance in their careers.
Absolutely wonderful. And I'm already knowing from our conversation in our green room, we're going to have both of these wonderful individuals on separately. And plus, Denise, little trivia note, I was the second Black Canadian hired in Adidas Canada's offices in the history.
I did not know that.
So more things in common than you want to know. And we'll then pass it on to Mr. Hutch. What's going on? Talk to us, man.
Well, first of all, I'm a child of God, and I'm a father of two daughters, and single dad, social impact entrepreneur, servant leader, master connector, thought leader, and whatever else needs to be done. Sweep the streets or pick up the trash, I get it done. During my background, I've been involved in retail. I've been involved in technology. Started my hometown of Louisville, Kentucky, actually the first Black-owned TV station in the state of Kentucky. You mentioned radio. I used to be in radio myself. So worked in radio prior to launching what is now known as the International Career and Business Alliance, better known around his parts, so to speak, as ICABA. And so what we have been doing for the past 12 years is helping up to 13,000 plus Black professionals and entrepreneurs to get connected to relationships, information, opportunities that enhance their career, lifestyle, and business success.
Wonderful. And I have something in common with you also, because I was one of the first 2 or 3 Black Canadians hired to do marketing at a major record label in this country.
All right. All right.
And even crazier, I had the Adidas job and that job at the same time.
Something tells me, Dr. Vibe, we're going to uncover a lot of nuggets like that.
Yeah, it's an old song by, was it Bobby and Whitney called "We Got Something in Common"? You know,
I kind of think it probably would take the 2 of us to interview you to get all the things out.
Well, I've been doing this for a minute, and it's just now in the last 6 or 7 months, more and more platforms are wanting to interview me. But it's not about me tonight; it's about you all.
Okay.
It's about
it's not even about us. It's about
yes.
We're the conduit, right, of this information and this platform of this opportunity that we are so excited to talk about.
Absolutely. And anyone who's watching live, whatever platform you're watching on, please feel free to ask questions. Both our friends will answer them in real time to the best of their ability. Before we get into more of the Black professionals thing, how did you two meet?
Oh, okay. Denise?
No. Go ahead, because it was a mutual friend who was really close with Hutch who made it happen. So I'll let Hutch take that.
Okay. And yeah, so I also want to tell you, Dr. Vibe, call me Hutch. My friends.
All right.
And one of my best friends, matter of fact, she was the maid of honor at the wedding of my late wife. They were best friends. Her name was Felicia Henderson, not too far from you in Detroit, Michigan. Okay. And so Denise and Felicia met in a program they were taking together. And she shared with Denise, based on things that she was doing, you need to meet, Hutch and what he's doing with ICABA. So she said, okay. And she joined, and we started doing some things together, and we started talking and sharing, and boom, we're now sitting in front of the infamous, world famous Dr. Vibe.
Here's something else, Hutch. You're not going to let me go with all this craziness. I receive that. Hutch. I receive that big time. Both of you, all right, if I understand correctly, are entrepreneurs now, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How was your experience being a Black American in the corporate world?
Well, challenging, but challenging, exciting, empowering, scary, because I got into corporate purely by accident. I had been working at a nonprofit for about a year. And very quick story, I'll try to make it really quick. My boss had reminded us, the team, that we had an event that night, a fundraising event. When you work a nonprofit, you're always at a fundraising event.
Yep.
And so I went to this fundraising event, and my boss, the head of the organization, came up to me and he said, Denise, there's a woman from Reebok over there, and we really need Reebok to give us some more money. So go schmooze her up so she can get to like you. And I thought, because I wasn't feeling well. I was feeling nauseous and sick, and I really just wanted to go home. We've all had those kinds of days when we're supposed to, be all up and chipper, but we're not. But I knew I had a job to do. So I walked over to her. I introduced myself to her. We chatted for about 5 minutes. I excused myself because I wasn't feeling well. I went home. About fast forward 3 weeks, I got a phone call from her, Leslie Mays, who was the head of HR for Reebok, telling me there was a job open at Reebok, and she wanted to talk to me about coming over and applying for the job. And I remember calling her, and she's a Black woman, and I always give her kudos because she changed my life. I remember calling her back and saying, Leslie, I said, I so appreciate the call, but I must say, I did not think I made much of an impression because I wasn't feeling well that night. I didn't think I'm shocked that you're even calling me. And she said to me, Denise, I'm in HR. I'm trained to see people, read people, And I'm hoping that you were just having a bad day, because I think what I was feeling from you was something more than what I saw from you that night. And it was, because I later found out, fast forward a couple months, I went in, applied, got the job offer to join Reebok. But I remember calling Leslie and saying, Leslie, the reason I was sick that night that we first met is because I'm pregnant with my first child. And I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to get a new job in corporate? And I'm pregnant with my first child. And Leslie said, don't worry about it, let me deal with it. And she did. She went to the team, the head of the communications team, explained what was going on. And they appreciated that I told them. It didn't just start and then all of a sudden say, hey, I'm going on maternity leave. And they offered me the job anyway. They kept the job offer on the table, and all that's to Leslie. I mean, she saw something in me. She took a chance on me, and she changed my life.
Wonderful. Hutch, what are your memories of the corporate world?
Well, I always think back about IBM, and that is where I spent probably, my most memorable probably time in corporate, also in radio for about 10 years. So that was corporate. But in radio, I really learned that when it comes to the whole corporate thing, if there's anything that's, I remember my sister told me this, she had been in radio herself for years. When might be, in fact, one of the first Black female general managers in radio, when she was a general manager back in 1980. There were not very many Black female general managers in radio. And I told her one day, talking about security, she says, well, one thing you don't have in radio is security. Okay. And she was absolutely right. But when I was working at IBM, Dr. Vibe, I'll never forget two things that happened to me. There was a woman named Betsy Jordan who came to work for our office in Louisville, Kentucky, where I was. And Betsy was a Black female in charge of HR. And one day she pulled me into her office and we were talking and asked me, she said, listen, I need a real estate agent, and their real estate agent I need because they've got me and they want to take me all these places that they want to go. I want to go places where my people are, and I can't seem to find that. And if you could help me, I appreciate that. Next time she called me into her office, after talking to her for about 10 minutes, she said, okay, now you got to go. And abruptly in the middle of the conversation. And so I was like, well, Betsy, what's wrong? Did I say something? She said, no. But, as you know, I've got glass all around my windows, all around my office. And this was back in, 1981, all right? She says, you and I cannot talk for more than 10 minutes without creating a conspiracy. Okay, so you got to go. Okay. She taught me one of my most important lessons about going out. She says, you have to go out and socialize if you want to be part of this corporate culture, because that's where you really find out what's going on. Will be uncomfortable. And they will cite you as being the reason that they're uncomfortable, not you being the victim, but you being the person that was victimized, and you'll be victimized twice. You'll be victimized by what was said, and you'll be victimized by being ostracized as a result of being there. And I was like, whoa. And it was one of the most important, political / cultural lessons I learned about race in corporate America. The last one I like to share is that I had never forget it, and this is one of the reasons why I didn't stay in corporate America. There was a systems engineer named Nat Brown that worked at IBM. And one day he pulled me aside. He said, listen, he says, I know, your family, and I know you come from a family of business people. If you like working here, great, you can build a great career here, but I want you to know something. I don't want you to get caught with the golden handcuffs. I said, golden handcuffs? What are you talking about? He says, listen, you get paid good money here. You'll get married, you'll get a house, you get kids, you'll have a mortgage, and then they're going to really start put the clamps on, because then your options of being able to leave because you're so tied to that corporate paycheck, and then you'll have to start compromising your values. So if you don't want to do that, don't get yourself caught. And so actually, it was one of the things that taught me that while corporate America was probably great for a lot of people, there's no doubt about it, okay, that it probably wasn't going to be the place for me long term.
Wow. Powerful stories from both of you. And the things that both you shared years ago are still applicable today. Still applicable today. Very powerful. Well, let's segue right into why we're here, Black Professionals Month. How did this come about?
Well, Black Professionals Month is the genesis of that has to be Eleanor Hutchinson, and Jerome Hutchinson Sr. My mother was a social worker. My dad was an entrepreneur. And they raised both my daughter, my sister and I to understand to whom much is given, much is required. But we are our brother's keeper, and that we should be producers and not consumers, and always look out for the other man. And so what does that mean about Black Professionals Month? Black Professionals Month is really about how we celebrate, recognize the contributions and professional excellence of Black professionals worldwide, while convening, gathering, connecting, celebrating, and creating a community as we collaborate with one another to be able to enhance our career and our business and our career and our lifestyle success. Leadership, sustained wealth is really the objectives of Black Professionals Month. How do we get from point A to point B? How do we get to the C-suite? How do we get to the corporate boardroom? How do we go past, being able to not only be a part of the company, but lead the company? How do we also enrich, ourselves and our families by virtue of being able to tap into the roles of leadership that help you to be able to create wealth? And so that is about how do we work together to help each other. And so my life from day one up until today, through my parents, was always being modeled how we work together to make things better for one another. So Black Professionals Month is really about how do we connect, collaborate, and create a community of folks who are working together worldwide. And that's why I'm so excited to be here with you, Dr. Vibe, and you being in Canada, outside of the States, and being able to take that, if you will, wall down, so to speak, and really reach across borders, and where we are doing what we're doing right now. Because we're connecting, we're collaborating, and the community that you have and the community we have is going to be a little bit larger after tonight.
Mm-hmm.
See that, Denise?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And the programs and events that we pulled together, Hutch has been working really hard to tap into a lot of brain power, Black professionals who've done some extraordinary work over their careers, award-winning Black professionals who want to come and be part of this event and share their talent, share their experience with the attendees. I mean, the amount of brain power energy that will be part of Black Professionals Month is something that is unprecedented in a type of platform that we pulled together. The first, and you mentioned at the top of the show that you hadn't heard about this until you got the email, and that's because it's never happened before. I mean, this is the first time that this has ever been done before. 31 consecutive days of virtual events and programs directly created for Black professionals to help us rise up through the ranks. One of the reasons I got involved with Hutch when he first told me about Black Professionals Month and his vision is because as a former C-suite executive, I went to Google and I started researching some of the statistics. Well, where are we right now when it comes to our presence in leadership roles? And it's terrible, Dr. Vibe. Think about this. When you think about, and for the last, several years, but in particular the last year with everything that's happened, all the programs, the DEI programs, the energy, the money, the different programs targeting Black professionals hasn't made much of a dent at all. We have not made much progress at all over the past 10 years. Mm-hmm. We maybe moved this much. And so one of the statistics that I saw when Hutch and I talked, or after Hutch and I spoke for the first time, that anywhere, depending on what research paper you look at, what study you look at, we represent anywhere from only 3.2 to 5% of leadership roles worldwide. That's it. After all these years, we only hold this much. We are far outnumbered by all of the other groups when it comes to how much we are actually penetrating senior leadership roles.
Yeah, I know these facts. And it's disappointing, but for me, not surprising, the statistics.
Right. Not surprising and not insurmountable, because that's why we're doing this.
Yeah. So let me ask, in the communications you're having with Black professionals, and we'll definitely ask how the conference addresses them. What are some of the challenges that you're hearing Black professionals are dealing with, especially since the last 16 months where many of us were hoping for change, but the change we're getting isn't that big. So what are you hearing from the ground from Black professionals? What are the challenges?
Well, I think one of the things that comes down to it is just really the cultural relevancy, the cultural experience. I remember, if you go back to last year when the young lady was in Central Park with the brother, and she was willing to call the police and lie about what he was doing, just because he was a Black man. But the fact that she was willing to call and lie on him, that really wasn't the story. Okay, the real story was the fact that she felt comfortable and entitled enough to be confident that she would be believed. Okay, and there has been case after case, situation after situation that we have seen that just because of the melanin in our skin, that we have to deal with situations in corporate America that other people just do not have to deal with. And while, as Denise just mentioned, economic opportunities have changed, educational opportunities have changed over the years, but yet and still, we're still lacking, as it relates, to the leadership roles of Black Americans. As a matter of fact, yesterday I was listening to something that is relevant to this. It's not a corporate thing, but it's very relevant to this. And they were talking about how Black leaders, particularly male leaders, cannot be mad or angry in this country today if they want to continue to be a leader. And they pointed to President Obama as a contrast to President Trump, who was mad every day.
And still is.
All right. Yeah. And no one ever, and nothing that he said or did in his anger ever stopped him. And today there are people who are betting he's going to be the next president. Barack Obama, despite being president, made a statement that this cop acted stupidly because he arrested a man who was going into his own home. Now, if I arrest somebody that's going to his own home and you say I'm stupid for arresting somebody that went into his own home, I kind of think that you may have a point. I don't think that I'm going to end up having a beer summit at the White House in the Rose Garden in order to smooth over the firestorm of controversy because I, as a Black man, decided to take up on behalf of another Black man. And America made it clear, even as the president of the United States, the backlash, the blowback from that was that you can't do that, sir. You don't have the right to be able to express yourself. And I think that is such a big part of what Blacks run into in corporate America. Our authenticity, our ability just to be real, be who we are, and still be respected for what we contribute and our expertise and the talent that we bring to the table. Whites are not expected to compromise who they are and their authenticity and their culture in order to be accepted. That's still a big problem in corporate America and throughout the world today.
Yeah.
Denise, I just want to excuse, before you add on that, Denise, I know you will, but I also want you to give perspective of what Black women are dealing with in the corporate world, because we have seen the ascent of many Black women in the corporate world. So add on to anything that Hut said, but also to that point.
Yeah. So yes, and Hutch is right. He nailed a few key points. And so for Black women, for Black men, but I'll start with Black women, the lack of self-confidence is a big part of it. And I struggled with that too. And there's a study that shows, and it's not specific to Black women, but Black women play a role in this, where we sometimes second guess ourselves in our ability to go out for a promotion or a job if we are lacking any of the qualifications that are part of that job description. And there's research that shows that men, forget it. If there are 10 qualifications listed on a particular job description, a man's going to feel confident that he's going to get that job if he only meets, say, 6 or 60% of those qualifications. A woman because they're not quite sure, what they don't want, to jump into something unless they feel totally confident they're going to get it. So we looked 100% of those qualifications checked off before we want to jump into something. So it holds us back, but that's only one area, lack of self-confidence. And I speak from experience because I didn't have any for the first many years I was in corporate. But I want to add on to something. So Hutch talked about code shifting, the inability or the stresses associated with going into work and not feeling like we can bring our true selves into the office, whether it's about our hair, our dress, how we speak, the accent, the language, whatever it is. And that's pressure. We feel like we got to sort of turn ourselves off when we walk through that door, and we can turn it back on when we leave. That's a big mental stress on us. There are a few other things that block us. To answer you, Dr. Vibe, what are some of the obstacles? A big one, there are three really big ones that are blocking Black professionals. One, lack of executive access. So if you're not able to pick up the phone, ask the SVP or the COO or the president meet you in the cafeteria to grab a cup of coffee or lunch or breakfast or whatever, and you're not in that person's face, and you're not someone that person's familiar with, that executive is familiar with, when that executive's department has a job opening at a level higher than you are, that Black professional, what are they going to do? Who are they going to put on that list? We all know that they're going to put on the list people who they know, people with whom they're familiar. And if we're not in the faces of these executives, we're not going to be on that list. So there is a lack of a pipeline inside an organization that is filled with Black professionals inside the organization. And that's something that Black Professionals Month is planning and hoping to deal with and address, is less these organizations, some Black professionals who could fill these pipelines in these different companies. One other thing I'll mention, so you got lack of executive access, also lack of sponsors. We need any professional, but especially Black professionals, we need that sponsorship, that mentoring, that coaching. And it doesn't happen a lot with Black professionals. We have a really hard time finding sponsors, and sponsors are different from mentors because they're very visible. Mentors can be behind the scenes. They can help guide your career, meet with you once a month or once a week and give you some good advice, but they're behind the scenes. Nobody needs to know, and often doesn't know who your mentors are. Sponsors are very visible, which means they pick and choose who they want to sponsor, because inside an organization, sponsors let other people know who they're sponsoring. And so Black women and Black men have a hard time finding executives who are willing to be that coach, be that sponsor for them. I was fortunate because I had Paul Fireman, who was the then chairman and CEO of Reebok, was my sponsor. And he guided me through all of the minefields, all of the politics, all of the bureaucracy, all of the crap in corporate. He protected me and he guided me up to the C-suite. So sponsors is one of the other big blocks.
Wow. Well, we could just spend like the whole rest of the conversation on this, but let me ask, how has the pandemic impacted the Black professional?
Well, let me just say one thing and then I'll turn it over to Hutch. In particular, Black women, because microaggressions is one of the other blocks that we have, and we all know microaggressions, and they impact us, Black professionals, a greater percentage. Black women, because of the pandemic and working from home, all of a sudden it's like, oh, shoot, I'm not dealing with the microaggressions at work. And they kind of like that. That they don't, and they're deciding that they're not going back into that environment, that very stressful environment where they're dealing with all those microaggressions. So there is an exodus, if you will, from corporate into small business ownership and other things that take them out of that high pressure situation within corporate.
Okay, Hutch?
Well, I'm going to touch real quickly on what Denise just said. As a matter of fact, on our LinkedIn page for Black Professionals Month today, I put a survey question. And the poll question is, reports indicate that Black professionals are considering leaving corporate America for entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
And do you agree? Is this what you're planning? So that's the question, and obviously the answers go with that. So that is an issue for sure, and for a number of different reasons. The pandemic has made it easier to be about the work other than versus having to be about the politics, and being in the office. The other thing I wanted to mention is that as Denise was talking about getting sponsors and coaches, that we have an CABA coaching, leadership and coaching program that is going to be a part of the extension of Black Professionals Month. So during Black Professionals Month, we are going to recognize 100 of what we call the BPM Global 100 Leading Black Professionals. And so there will be 100 Black professionals worldwide. 75 of them will be what we call senior leaders that will be over 40. 25 will be emerging leaders who are 25 to 40. And the other thing too is, Denise, Black Professionals Month is not just a month, it is a
movement.
Thank you.
All right. And so the movement gets extended beyond October. And part of the way we extend that is through Denise's company, MDK Management, who's going to help folks, brand management, who help people to be able to get personal coaching and branding and so on. But we also have the Akaba World Network, where we have a community, a marketplace, and through that community and our mastermind groups, we are going to match up the 75 senior leaders who will be recognized in the BPM Global 100 with the 25 emerging leaders. And we will pair them off into groups of 4. There will be 3 senior leaders who will coach 1 emerging leader for 12 months. And so that person is going to get a diverse set of coaching and relationships and experiences. In addition to that, during those 12 months, we will be putting on different workshops and webinars that will provide leadership training and development for those individuals who just came through being recognized. So that is one of the ways where we are able to take and be about us, for us, by us. And so when I mentioned to you that, Black Professionals Month was basically in my genesis, the genesis of it is in my DNA. That's what my parents taught me. We don't need to go looking for somebody else to do things that we can do for ourselves. We have talented people who have expertise and experiences that we can pass on and pay it forward to help that next generation to get there. And so those 75 senior leaders who are going to engage with these 25 emerging leaders, that is going to be a powerful dynamic. And I'm just looking forward to year after year when those 100 cohorts in 2022 become 200 cohorts and 23 become 300, and just the way that will spread, exponentially. So we are saying, yes, there are issues, but we are taking responsibility for resolving those issues and finding solutions to them and executing them ourselves.
I'm absolutely in love with what I'm hearing, and that's one of the things you touched on that I really find important is I go to many conferences, webinars, etc., and I always wonder what happens when the event ends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's usually nothing.
Dr. Vibe, I got to tell you, the vision for Black Professionals Month has been with me for a long time. And last year, during the pandemic, we were able to really, because my business up until January, February of last year was 95% of my revenues came from in-person events. Yep. So say no more, right? And so not being able to do that. So what do? You fold your tent and go home, or do you do something different? Okay. And so we had always wanted to be a global entity in terms of a brand and reach. So we said, we know the way to do it is digitally. Let's take this time and expand our digital platforms. And
you should have called me.
We're going to have this conversation after.
That's all right. I'm just playing.
It's not too late.
I know it's not. I'm just playing with you. Go ahead.
I get you. And you know what? So what we did was to build something so that the ability to do Black Professionals Month. One of the things I talk about Black Professionals Month, and then why we say it's more than a month, it's a movement. Black Professionals Month is the party. The Akaba World Network, which is where our community and marketplace and all these online platforms are, okay, where you can get jobs through our career center, you can find business opportunities through our business center, you can connect with people who can help you throughout the community who have different levels of expertise. We have our mastermind groups, a whole platform of folks. And that's where Denise and I met. She came and got involved in part of that. So Black Professionals Month is the party. The Akaba World Network is the after party that never stops.
Can't lose the DJ in them. Can't lose the DJ in them. This is fantastic.
Well, Dr. Bob, you said something earlier, and you were so right. And I've said this over and over again. How many times do we go to conferences, meetings, conventions, and we get inspired, energy gets in the room, and we want to go out, and you come back 30 days later, and it's like nothing ever happened.
Crickets.
That is not going to happen with Black Professionals Month.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, not at all. Not at all. And it is one of the reasons that Hutch and I connected so strongly over this, because each of our companies is an extension of what we are going to be starting at Black Professionals Month. I mean, Hutch is bringing, as he said, he's collaborating, he's convening, he's bringing all the Black professionals, and then he's pulled together my company and other companies who are going to be represented during Black Professionals Month, who can then take all of those Black professionals who are gathered through Akaba, and then we can help them grow, develop, advance to the next level. And I'm so excited through my company, MDK Brand Management, through Hutch's company, Akaba, that we've thought about that. To your question, Dr. Vi, we don't want anyone coming to Black Professionals Month and walking away with what the three of us have walked away so many times feeling, which is, now what? Now, and usually it's nothing, not here. Not here.
Fantastic. And time is flying. So I want to get from both of you, what are some of the things that are going to get addressed during Black Professionals Month? Some of the areas.
Oh my gosh, man. We're going to talk about health and wellness. We're going to talk about Think and Grow Rich, which is a 4-part series with Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. We're going to go from mainstream to top tier, all the way to the top. 4-part series with Denise Kaigler. All right. I mean, we've got technology. We've got people who will be talking about mindfulness. We've got people who will be talking about how you tell a story, because storytelling is so important. Don't have to convince you of that, right, Dr. Bob?
No, stories are important, because if you can't tell your story, it's going to get told for you. And one of the reasons why I started this platform is I wanted to control my narrative and our narrative.
Right.
Absolutely.
We're going to have people come in and talk about things that they do in very niche opportunities. We've got a guy who is one of the very few brothers in the country who is an owner of a nationally known commercial real estate company. We have a chief meteorologist from NBC who is going to be talking about meteorology. We've got a diversity, equity, and inclusion conference, and where we're going to be talking about one of the themes for one of the sessions is strike while it's hot, okay? Because we know that this whole thing, while we're hot, is not going to stay hot forever, okay? And the theme of that conference is going to be, so what's different now? How do we keep this going? And so we've got a lot of people that are very, very talented. And I'm going to stop it because there's so much, we'll share back and forth and let Denise kind of jump in here.
Yeah, no, you touched on the big ones. There's one about, and I'm probably going to get it wrong, Hutch, mind over matter, conquering anxiety, which a lot of us go through. So we're going to have a session on that. Hutch is going to be leading FaithWorks Friday, every Friday at noon, which is going to be another fantastic session, not to miss. And there's one other one, which I love the title of, and I can't remember, but it's about golfing, the 5 T's of leadership, golf and the 5 T's, TEES of leadership, which I love the name of that session.
Yeah, that's another one of our Akaba members. She runs the Women of Color golf program. And so she's doing some really fantastic things. There's a woman right now on the screen that I see that you have named Precious Williams. Precious just won another award, Denise, from AARP.
I saw that. I did see that.
So, she's a Shark Tank winner. She's been featured in everything that you could think of, LinkedIn, Forbes, Black Enterprise. She was just named Speaker of the Year.
MasterCard, something with MasterCard, right?
Yeah, MasterCard did one of those. You've seen these bio commercials they do on people. And so they did one on her, but she's going to be talking about, she is what her brand is, the killer pitch master. So she's going to teach you how to develop your perfect pitch. And how important is it to be able to tell your story, but then how important is it to make your pitch in 60 seconds or less in order to be able to get the chance, there she is, to tell your pitch. I mean, to tell your story. So we're going to be helping people with a wide variety of things. We've got people coming in from law enforcement who are going to talk about that. We've got Tony Waller, who's the CEO of the Leverage Network, who's going to come in. The Leverage Network, they're all about helping Blacks getting into the C-suite and on the boards of healthcare companies. So we've got her, teed up to come in. I mean, there is so much. We've got we have an entrepreneur coming in to do a panel call from turning obstacles into opportunities. As a matter of fact, he actually has copyrighted that phrase because that is his brand and he does. This guy was dropped off with his babysitter by his mother when he was 4 years old, and she never came back. And the babysitter was half blind, crippled, one-room shack, and he had to sleep in a bed with her until he was a teenager. Okay, and he grew up and overcame all of those obstacles. Had teachers told him that he wasn't going to be able to do anything of significance, and now he's a multimillionaire. Okay, and so he's going to come in and talk about how do you turn the obstacles in your life into opportunities. So it's going to be a value-rich experience. We're going to talk about how to go to take connections and build those into collaborations and turn those collaborations into a trusted community. People talk about networking. It's not networking. It's the relationship.
You're reading my alleged mind, because I don't like the word network because most people's net ain't working.
Well, and it's great. And Hutch has gone through a lot of the programs. I see you have the website up. A lot of the programs that Hutch and I are walking through aren't up on the website yet, but just know that they will be. There's, as you heard Hutch say, there is so much content.
Yeah.
Now it's like, we got to get all this up, and we're working on that.
Well, it's absolutely fantastic. And of the many things I love the passion. That can't be manufactured. You either got it or you don't when you're dealing with areas like this. And I feel the passion from both of you is absolutely wonderful. I have an interesting question. Do you two get any sleep? This is a lot of work.
And by the way, we each have our own company.
Yes. I wanted to include that also. Do you have a team? You got to have a team. You can't be just doing. Come on now. Talk to me about it.
And we don't sleep either, and neither do they.
and I actually am a college professor, so I teach on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So today has been a particularly long, but we love every minute of it. Sleep. Well, what's sleep when you're doing something that you love? So,
we'll get to that. Don't forget that. We'll get to that. I want to jump on something that Hutch mentioned from both of you. How important have relationships been in your careers, and how important is it for the Black professional these days?
Dr. Vibe, let me tell you something. If you really have a choice between financial capital and relationship capital, and you can only have one, okay? Most people would lean to go get the money. But if you could only have one, where either you got money or you got relationships, okay? The fool will take the money. Because if you can't have relationships when you take the money, you're not going to be able to do anything with the money. But if you've got relationships, value-rich relationships, you can get money. Okay? And so relationships is really what it's all about. And I tell people all the time, when people say, oh yeah, relationships important. Yeah, well, I network, I do this. Let me ask you a question. If you lost your job today, are you just going to look at yourself in the mirror and talk to yourself? Are you going to pick up the phone and call somebody that you know that you think can help get you another job? If you need to borrow some money, are you going to call somebody, make an appointment to go talk to somebody? If you need to get into a company to get a contact so that you can talk to somebody, are you going to call somebody? Or no? Or are you going to go to the bank and go get money? No, you're going to work on those relationships that you have. Relationship capital is the most critical capital that we have as human beings. It goes beyond whether you're talking about corporate America, professionals, business, or whatever. It is the relationship, stupid. It's all about the relationships.
Denise, please add on.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. Relationships are important. I know I wouldn't be sitting here if it weren't for the importance I place on relationships. I would add descriptors before the word relationship. They have to be honest. They have to be two-way. They have to be open. You have to feel comfortable that you can have an honest conversation with the people with whom you have a relationship and not feel that there is going to be any backlash or anger or resentment or blame, if you will. So that is what we have more of an opportunity in the Black community to do, that to support each other, to lift as we rise. I have a chapter in my book about that, lift as we rise. That is so important. And one of the things, I had someone write a blog about me. I told a story on one of Hutch's programs about Leslie Mays, the woman who played such a critical role in my career. And I talked about the relationship that she and I had, and two Black women forming this bond. And it changed me, and it made me more of the person I became. I grew up poor in Southeast Washington, D.C., single mother, two sisters. I was a shy introvert. I was a mess, an absolute disaster until I got into college. I put myself through college, working multiple part-time jobs. So I know what it's like to struggle, to lift up by my bootstraps, to make it on my own. I left home when I was 16 years old. I've physically been on my own since I was 16.
Wow.
I left home with a little suitcase and $40 in my wallet. That was it. And I haven't told a lot of people, Hutch doesn't even know that. I haven't told a lot of people that story. Wow. So I've had a lot of hard knocks, and I've been through a lot, and I had to develop a tough skin. And sometimes I may be a little bit hard because that's how I grew. I had to do that. I had to do that to survive. Otherwise I would be dead. I would be physically, well, I don't know if that's the word, physically dead. I don't know what that means, but I would be dead. So I've had to develop sort of this armor, if you will, around me to protect me, because I would walk the streets at night. That sounded so bad. That did not come out right. But
we know where you're coming from.
Yeah, I would be out like looking for work and looking for a way to support myself. And it was awful, but I wouldn't change any of it. And it made me who I am. And sometimes it's like, come on, Denise, but it's gotten me where I am. It got me to the C-suite. It got me to have my own company. It got me writing a book. It got me connected to Hutch. It got us doing Black Professionals Month. I mean, Hutch and I are pouring our heart and soul, blood and tears into this program for sure.
Well, Denise, thank you for sharing your story, some of your story. And it's a firm affirmation of sometimes in order to get through, you've got to go through.
Well, you know what, Dr. Vibe, I saw something today. Some other Capital members have written a book, and there is no, your story is there's no glory without a story. Mm-hmm. The title of the book, mm-hmm. And so it's all about the backstory of these individuals that led to their success. And I'm always going to remember that I found out why the title of Denise's book is $40. Okay. I understood the brand part, but I never really quite understood the $40 part. I just thought it was cute, and now that I know the significance of it. And so you can see why, being able to partner with Denise and a relationship. And I want to say this to folks who are listening to this show today, be of value. There's so many people who are looking for things to give them value. Life is not what you get, it's what you give. If you are of value, okay, and the greatest relationship that we should all have and aspire to have is the one with our Maker. And in the Bible, it says, your talent will make way for you amongst kings and queens. If you are committed to giving value and being of value, doing your best, delivering with quality and excellence, you will find the relationships knocking on your door, and you will have everything that your heart desires. But you must start with, how can I be of service and how can I be of value? And that's one of the reasons why my title is Chief Servant Officer versus Chief Executive Officer. I am here to serve and to lead people by helping them to be the best that they can. And that's why I am here. And it's the same reason why Denise is here. We want people to be their best. And we're hopeful that Black Professionals Month is a platform where that's going to happen.
Excellent. As we start winding it down, we're not completely finished yet, but you mentioned earlier, Hutch, how people are leaving the job place. From both of you, share with our audience why it's important that we get more Black professionals in the corporate workplace.
Yeah. I'll start and then turn it over to Hutch. So Black women especially are exiting because, as I mentioned, with the whole microaggressions, they don't have to deal with it working from home. And it felt good during the pandemic to do that. Your question, the answer goes back to the whole pipeline, because we've all heard for many, many years where white executives, hiring managers will defend their actions and not even having a Black person in the pool of candidates. Forget hiring a person of color, but not even interviewing a person of color. And the response was always, oh, we can't find anybody. Oh, we can't find anybody. Oh, we can't find anybody. We need Black professionals. One, we want them to get in, grow, develop, advance to these senior executive, C-suite, CEO roles, but we also need them to fill the pipeline for a host of other roles too, because if they don't, if we Black professionals don't stay or return to the workforce, then all of these positions will of course be filled by the majority, by white and other professionals, because we're not there. And decisions are being made. We all know this. Decision makers make decisions and involve people who look like them, who they feel comfortable with. And if we're not filling those decision-making roles, then the people making those decisions aren't going to make decisions that positively, I'm not gonna say aren't, I don't wanna make one, generic statement, a general statement, but there's a possibility, a probability that they won't make decisions that benefit us or that put us in the position to grow and to prosper.
Hutch?
I think that, one of the questions is, do you pursue your side hustle or your security? Okay. And we want people to definitely do what's in their own best interest. But the question about, do we need more people into corporate America? To me, the answer is a resounding yes for several reasons. First of all, it's still one of the best training grounds for you developing your talents and your skills and your expertise in that area. And you get to do it on somebody else's dime. The further you go up the corporate ladder, the skill sets, the talent that you get refined, the expertise and the experience and the relationships that you gain are absolutely critical as it relates to your ability to going into entrepreneurship and being able to succeed. Secondly, entrepreneurs who want to do business with corporate America, we need Blacks in corporate America that we can connect with so that we can do some business. Because remember, it's about the relationship. Yeah. So if there's nobody on the other side that looks like us, that relationship gets harder and harder to really to be able to have. And I just sent to my daughter something, I read the Bible app, and there's a plan I'm reading now called Success Secrets of the Bible. And in this particular day, a devotional, it talked about how you want to start treating, because in the Bible, God talks about how you are supposed to, to basically submit and to do for your masters. If you're working for somebody, you're supposed to do the best job that you can and work hard. it's right there in the Bible. And what they did was they kind of took it and made it more contemporary and gave a little slant to it. And it said, if you're working for somebody, start treating that employer like they're a client and like that you are your business. And so change the mindset. And I actually sent it to my daughters, and my youngest daughter said back, she said, no, Dad, that was great. I never thought about me being a business as an employee and my employer being a client. And it really kind of made me stop and think about how I want to approach that. It's all in our mindset. And so we can not change our where we are, but we can change us and make us, if you will, better in terms of being able to deal so that we can be able to bloom wherever we're planted.
Wonderful. Well, we have a special offer that someone's going to tell us about. So what is the special offer?
I'm so excited. The special offer is that we are offering to your audience, Dr. Vibe Show audience, a coupon code. So of course, we have a website for Black Professionals Month that you've certainly walked through, blackprofessionalsmonth.com. When your audience members go to the website and look it over, listen, and remember some of the programs that aren't listed yet, but that'll be there, the Hutch outlined so beautifully. If you register and purchase either a leader package or an executive package, you go to checkout, put in this code, BPM Vibe 20, you get 20% off right away. So already off the bat, you get 20% off. You put this code in when you buy lead or executive. And for the first 10 people, because I'll know who you are, who register, I will send you a free copy of my book, $40 and a Brand. And it is a very detailed book. It's actually an interactive book. Interactive. Yeah, there are exercises, activities in the book. The last part of the book is a journal, so you can document your own brand building journey. But it's $40 in a Brand, how to overcome challenges, defy the odds, and live your awesomeness. And there are a lot of stories about my growth, my development, my advancement into corporate. It's a personal, professional development guide, a lot of stories. I worked with a lot of celebrities when I was in corporate, Adidas, Reebok, Boston Scientific, Nintendo, a lot of celebrities. I flew to Europe with Jay-Z to launch his S. Carter shoe, worked with Pharrell on his shoe launch, Venus, Allen Iverson, a whole 50 Cent. There are a whole lot of celebrities I worked with, and I don't just write about the stories of here I am with these celebrities, but they have a twist to the stories and how all of these stories impacted my brand and how the lessons from these stories can help you, the viewer, develop and grow and advance your brand. There's one story, I won't give it away, about Will Smith. It's called the Will Smith snub, one of the most embarrassing moments of my entire life I had with Will Smith. And there's a chapter in the book about that. But anyway, so first 10 people who register, buy a ticket, 20% off, I will send a copy of my book to you. And I'll have your address because you have to fill it in when you register. So I will have your address. Wow. And I'll sign it. I'll sign it for you.
Thank you. So as we close it down, two-part question. What are you excited about that you haven't described about the conference? And what would you like people to leave with from the conference?
Since I opened, Hutch gets to go first to close.
Okay. What have we not shared with you? That's
you're excited about. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. What have we not shared with you? I'll tell you what we have not shared with you. It is the testament of faith. Okay. Dr. King says that faith is when you take the first step in the staircase without being able to see the rest of the stairs. Okay. This thing called life is a journey. And along the journey, sometimes we don't know how that journey is going to end. And sometimes the only way that you're able to keep going is believing in that which you cannot see, touch, feel, or hold in your hand. Okay. And so what I'm excited about is seeing the way that God is going to unfold his glory through Black Professionals Month during the 31 days of October 2021 and beyond. I know in my heart, I believe in my mind, and I am convinced in my soul that he's going to show up, show out, and step up in a way that we have never seen before. And I am just looking forward to seeing that. And that is something that I hadn't shared that I'm excited about, and how we're going to impact people's lives. People's lives will be changed, enhanced, throughout this process. And it's going to be wonderful to see that happen.
Wonderful. Denise, last words go to you.
I agree. Two things. One, very quick. I'm excited to see my kids. I have two, a son and a daughter, see that something like this and creating a program like this has never been done before is possible. But the thing I really want to focus on, we haven't talked about, that I'm excited about, is the way sponsors have stepped up to support this unprecedented initiative. We have sponsors, MeisterTask, TD Bank, PNC, Yum Brands, to name a few, BizHack Academy, Comcast, I think is one, to name a few. And it's so exciting to see these companies support this initiative to support Black professionals. I mean, it's very exciting. And Hutch and I are really grateful to these companies for stepping up.
And let me also add, there are also some Black-owned companies that have stepped up, like Tinsley Family Concessions, Socially Buzz, and others. So, and not to mention the, if you will, bootstrapping that both Denise and I have invested our heart, soul, and hard-earned money into.
Yeah, you're the biggest sponsors. You're the biggest sponsors.
Oh, shoot. We're the biggest sponsors. But you know what? You got it. We believe in it. And if we don't put everything in it, then why should anyone else? So we are absolutely stepping up and investing our own money into this, because it is that important to do.
Wonderful. Well, I'm very passionate about sponsorship. I think it's an area that a lot of Black, let alone professionals, Black people, haven't even looked at. And I'm very passionate about sponsorship. And like I said, I have a sponsor with Dove Men Care, and a lot of the ones on the table. That's a whole other conversation in itself. But I will say, Denise, Hutch, thank you for what you have done, what you are doing, and what you will be doing. You certainly have an ally here with Dr. Vibe.
Thank you, Dr. Vibe. Thank you so much.
I like to say thank you so much for the time. And I have a feeling we're going to be seeing each other again.
Yes.
Well, I was just going to tell you, Dr. Vibe, I want you to bring Dr. Vibe to Black Professionals Month.
We'll talk about that offline. All right. We're going to talk about that offline. All right.
All right.
I received that. So as always, remember, most importantly, give yourselves grace.
Yes.
Very important.
Yes.
So we'll be chatting with you soon. And say thank you so much for your time, both of you. Real pleasure. Well, folks, wasn't that epic? Like I say, I'm the host of Epic Conversations, and I have Epic Conversations. That was another one. So, folks, please check this out. Website, Black Professionals Month. Go there. And if you attend, you may be seeing me. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. And then also the great offer that Denise has brought to the table. You can get a free copy of her book if you register for either the leader or executive package, and you'll get 20% off your registration. Is that worth it? I don't like to say deal anymore. Isn't that great value? I don't like the word deal. Isn't that great value? Great value. So that is it. Another epic conversation done on the Dr. Vibe Show. As always, I'd like to thank everyone who watched this live on the replay or will be listening to it on the replay. I like to close out my conversations with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourself grace. And I'm going to add something new every once in a while. Be you. They'll adjust. God bless. Peace to all. Keep the faith and walk good. Goodbye, everybody.